Moving on to the session for today, I am more than pleased to introduce our moderator for the day, KS Parag. So before I hand over to Parag, I would like to give a really small introduction on him. A visionary pioneer at the forefront of regional technology innovation in the communications and information technology sectors. Parag is currently the managing director of FVC Inc., the region's leading value-added distributor, which operates offices in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Morocco. The firm has on-ground presence in Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria, and the Ivory Coast. Armed with almost 3 decades of experience in transforming the telecommunications landscape across the Middle East, Africa, and West Asia, Parag has evolved FVC from a startup rich media solution specialist pioneering video streaming technology into a full-spec networking and information security solutions provider. So without further ado, I will hand over.
First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody. And thank you very much for joining us today. I understand we've got a mixed audience. We have some young entrepreneurs, we have some time members, chartered members as well. And I'd also like to thank my co-colleagues, Cicely, Fiza, and Rizet, who are on the call as well. As you can see, I'm not in Dubai at the moment. And obviously, I manage Zoom in the Middle East, looking after many of our customers, particularly our customers in the enterprise sectors and major accounts across the region. And we're going to take some time as soon as Parag joins to really talk about over the past 2 years. I mean, I'm over 50 years old, and I've seen a lot, many changes in business sense, many changes in terms of technology and the way businesses has been done. And frankly, in the past 2 years, we've seen things we've never seen before. And I'm really, obviously, we're very happy to put behind us some of the bad bits, but some of the technology, the advancements and innovations which we've seen are things we really want to discuss and talk about today. Many of them have been very positive in many ways, and that's what we're going to chat about as we go forward. As Fiza mentioned, Parag and FVC are partners of Zoom here in the region. We work very closely together. We as Zoom have been very active in the Middle East for about 17, 18 months. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to have a conversation with Parag. In addition, what I do request is for everybody to type in their questions, and we'll blend them into the conversation. And we will also promote, this is a Zoom webinar, so anybody who wants to actually make their question or get involved in the conversation on video, please write that, and we'll promote you to join us here metaphorically on stage. That gives you a sort of a basic idea of what we're going to do. We're going to take about an hour, and all subjects obviously are welcome.
Parag is just making his grand entry. I welcome Parag once again.
No, I'm really sorry. I don't want to get into any kind of excuses, getting to the point. But yeah, definitely, it's been great. Really, really nice to have you, Sam, and also Risk, and also the Thai team. Great to have you. Sam, that's a great background. Huh? All of us in the Middle East could be envying you. You're sitting down, probably, 25 degrees centigrade out there?
Absolutely, 23, so that, yes.
So it's into 2, it's 46 out here, and it's boiling hot, okay? And you could be, you're sitting down in a nice, cozy, your home at London with a nice green look in the background. What's beautiful about it is you're still working, and you're still productive, and you're still making sure that you're making a difference within your organization. So that's great. And I think we've seen absolutely Zoom skyrocket in terms of how over the last 1 year, especially in the pandemic, not only actually as a company changing the dynamics of boundaries across the globe, but actually change the way all of us have started working. So really want to thank you and the Zoom team completely to be on this call today. And also Risk was very much my ex-colleague who worked together, and it's very happy to see you back in the fray, Risk. So yeah, I see then we have a lot of startup audience out here. So it's great to see a lot of startups out there, young buddy entrepreneurs. And great to see that kind of audience and kind of mix out here. So I think let's start with that, start with the audience, Sam. So let's say, I'm a young entrepreneur and I want to actually be, I want to do something with Zoom to be able to do something different towards offering within to different organizations using Zoom. What's your suggestion? What would you suggest?
So I'm going to talk about a couple of things here. What I'd ask is, hold me up, Parag, if I'm getting too much, a little bit too technical, a little bit too detailed. So basically, everybody knows Zoom as a video collaboration platform. And we all use it for, speaking to our colleagues, speaking to our family, and so on. And Zoom certainly offers, best of breed in terms of capabilities for that, whether it be one-to-one calls, small groups, larger groups, or even webinars and other activities like that. At the moment, for example, I'm using something called the Zoom Room, which is a device, and I think Parag is using one as well, which is a device which gives you a sort of a larger room experience and maybe an enhanced experience of a meeting. One of the things which we do in Zoom also is we provide access for what are called APIs. So this is the ability for businesses and organizations to take Zoom and to build it into their business flows. And I'll give you an example of Bank of Jordan. So this is a bank in Jordan which basically decided that they wanted to allow off their websites through their internet banking and so on and so forth, to allow customers to benefit from things like Zoom, to benefit in fact from Zoom itself, in order to open bank accounts, do various banking procedures which they might do. And if you pop over to the Bank of Jordan website, you can actually see where they've integrated Zoom into the various functions that they offer to their customers. We've seen this in the education field. We've seen this in the shopping field. We've seen this in many customer service and support and many other areas where exactly this happens, where by us offering APIs, so APIs are really hooks, if you like, you can integrate applications and business app into Zoom itself to offer a better experience for your customers. So that's something which we've certainly made available and which we're seeing as a growing area of activity among some of our customers and potential customers.
So, Sam, let's talk about innovation, okay? Because we at Tayan believe a lot in innovation, okay? So today, from a Zoom perspective, what do you see in terms of innovation? Where do you see innovation coming in from a Zoom perspective into the industry?
I think there's a lot of innovation out there. I mean, I've seen everything in terms of, we've seen weddings, we've seen obviously family get-togethers, we've seen parties, celebrations. We did at New Year, we did a New Year's festivity at Burj Khalifa with Omar, where we had thousands and thousands of participants attending a live webinar of the projection of all the lights, the beautiful celebration they have there at Burj Khalifa. So we let people really feel as if, they could participate while potentially being, in different geographies and so on from the actual spot where the activity was taking place. So these are very innovative ways. Famous musicians, TV personalities have also run large events, and So yes, all of this has been things which we've seen in terms of innovations. And on a smaller scale, you know, we've seen small businesses, SMEs, able, you know, real estate. I'm going to move into the world of real estate. We've worked with real estate agents who, you know, quite often, obviously they want to show clients or potential clients around properties they might be selling. You quite rightly said it's 46 degrees at the moment. People sometimes are a little bit reluctant to step out, particularly in the midday, you know, in order to do viewings. Well, just walking around with their phones on their hands, you know, they can potentially do a Zoom viewing of the property where they can answer questions. And this is a step up from recorded video, because you can answer questions on the fly. If you're, you know, walking through a kitchen and your client asks you to, you know, open, you know, some of the storage, or show them different aspects, or maybe come a little closer to details they want to see, or views they want to see, and so on, you can actually have a real interactive experience. And we've seen that with small businesses, which could be real estate agents. We've seen that also with jewelry businesses, where, again, being able to show the item which is for sale and project it to their potential customers has meant they get a lot more prospects, they get to talk to a lot more people, and that's the business we're in.
Okay, so one question which I'll lead it to you, and you're being with Zoom and you're absolutely doing a great, absolutely phenomenal job. Okay, one question I want for you is, what turns your head? You know, what's something which is absolutely outstanding from that? And what you would say would turn your head today?
So we want to call the use of Zoom in telemedicine. So we have participated with, for example, a university hospital in Saudi Arabia, who are providing Zoom in order to reach out to some of their patients who are remote, in order to do initial consultations and so on. And it's, you know, it's been very, very successful. It allows customers, again, who may be unwell, to consult with their doctors, get all the benefit in terms of security, because I know I'm talking to you because I can see you, Parag, and I can see you when you're speaking. So you've got aspects of security. You've also got aspects of comfort with the patients. And I think telemedicine is really one of the standout areas, which I liked, you know, which
I totally agree on that. Yes, Sam, not for anything else, because telemedicine is one of the things which I would always say is you're actually dealing with a person's life. So the accuracy and measurement is not about 99%. It's got to be 100%. Okay, you can't take a risk on a person's life. So if you're doing telemedicine, the diagnosis in telemedicine has got to be, no, it has to be 100%. So, you know, that kind of thing coming up from yourself and Zoom, yes, definitely, I would say is something which is very, very, it's absolutely great in terms of how we can actually make things change in today's world.
And I think, you know, a lot of people quite rightly mention security, because security is important. People like to feel that the confidentiality of their discussions and so on. And I think it's worth noting that over the past year, on several occasions, we upgraded our security. It was always really safe and secure. We always had very high levels of encryption, but we took it to the next level. We have end-to-end encryption available for all users. And so when you're having a Zoom meeting, you have that ability to do end-to-end encryption, which is, you know, can give a significant degree of security, and I would say peace of mind as well.
So before I move it on to the audience, I just wanted one question, Sam, before I want to get some more feedback from others coming in. Okay, it is great globally, Zoom's adoption and the way Zoom has actually gone ahead in terms of bringing virtual meetings across the globe and actually change the way people have worked, to change the social culture, the way we've actually connected, whether we've interacted, whether it's in social functions or in terms of official functions. But now let's come to the reality to this part of the world. So what do you have to say regarding the region? When I talk about the region, the Middle East, what do you have to say across this region?
I think, we've seen, if we take as an example in the UAE, we've seen, some very encouraging steps from the government of the UAE, of course, with the remote working visa and various aspects, and, the UAE and as being a very attractive destination for people from all over the world who may be able to, who may locate here and conduct their business remotely. We've worked with, for example, legal firms and various other professional organizations who have felt the ability to conduct significant portions of their business, which may be actually happening in other parts of the world, but just like I'm doing now, located in the UAE, which has very strong 5G infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, and so on, have been able to seamlessly conduct their business and also benefit from a geographical location which is in between Europe, maybe 2-3 hours difference, you're, GMT, or 4 hours difference, 2-4 hours difference, you're in Singapore. So you have that bridge point where you can literally cover a really large area with manageable time zones via remote working. I know, obviously, you yourself, Parag, you work with people in Asia, you work with people across in Europe, and you can kind of fit them into your working day, I think, right?
Yeah. So so I think two things that helps me out, especially on my own self, is that we have offices in Africa, and in fact, they not only work on different time zones, they work on different calendars. So they work Monday to Friday, whereas we in the Middle East work on Sunday and Thursday. In fact, I've got a home office where on Friday I'm connecting with my colleagues in Africa. So that really helps. And Zoom is the best way in terms of connecting, in terms of keeping them in touch and keep going. So it's absolutely imperative how Zoom has changed in terms of not only this side, but the ease of adoption is absolutely great. And the most important thing is, like, I do a Zoom call with my daughter almost every day. Maybe just for 20 minutes. She's in the UK, so she's in close to somewhere where you are, Sam. And the only way for us to be in touch together is to actually do a Zoom call every day, and that's great. And we actually connect, and virtually though she's 10,000 miles away, but Zoom gets us connected on a daily basis. So that's definitely great in terms of not only on the work front, but also on the personal front. It actually breaks barriers. So yeah, so what I want to do now is just open it for some of the questions. For some of our attendees. So would want them to actually start grilling Sam, not for anything else, but because Sam is enjoying in the UK. All of us are still sweaty out here in Dubai. So so any questions coming from the audience?
We actually have a couple of them.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Risk has been answering.
Risk, you want to take it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw the question related to the apps integration and bringing in that Zoom experience into your own business application. And one of the questions was, Zoom apps is still new, and there are not too many apps available today. So I want to clarify that Zoom apps is new. We just released it with 50 participated partners. However, this will increase exponentially in the future. And please bear in mind that this is different from the classic integration of what we have today with Salesforce or any other application that is certified today on our marketplace. I just want to say that that Zoom apps is unique to Zoom. We are taking apps integration to the next level. With Zoom apps, it's your app store during the meeting. And this will help immensely with productivity because you don't have, so if you're in a Zoom meeting and if you want to collaborate with your participants, You don't have to go and open another application. So it's your app store in Meeting, and that provides lots of ease of use, scalability when it comes to internal collaboration, and it will improve productivity immensely. Thank you.
Great. So thanks. In fact, okay, my apologies. I end up, coming in a, I was trying to come with the Zoom room, so I'll later show the Zoom room, and that's where the invite was there to my laptop versus the Zoom room. So that's one of the reasons why I was this thing. But I actually wanted to start this with a presentation, and it didn't happen. But what I wanted to do was actually show you the Zoom experience in the pandemic. So you can actually see how the developer kit, the Zoom for Room, the whole experience is completely done from how the Zoom is actually putting that across, not only across the enterprise side, but onto the Room side, into the marketplace, also into the application development side and everything. Yeah. Does that slide make sense, Risk?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also want to add that one of the things that we are really working on when it comes to enhancing the end user experience is the bringing in artificial intelligence. So we are entering the age of artificial intelligence, and every major company today is using AI in some way to better their products and services. So from self-driving cars, cancer detection, to safe, reliable video communication. So AI is exploding exponentially in how it can help humanity. So what we're doing, basically we are bringing AI into the same application. For example, counting people in the room. This will help during the post-pandemic, where most companies are looking for, social distancing in a conference room, and they want to be able to count how many participants participated in a conference room. And that conference room can be anyone from our certified partners, Poly or Logitech. So another one which is really interesting is the smart gallery view. So basically capturing the active speakers in the room. This demand is because of the customer's problem today, what the customer is facing today. They are looking for a more, when it comes to basically this increasingly demand, a common demand regarding the common tasks, and they're looking for automated, something that's really automated by the technology itself. So with AI, we believe that this will make things easier and faster with increased productivity. So watch out for more of those interesting features, interesting AI features coming into our platform.
So one question I saw from the audience was related to Zoom's involvement in education. So Sam, you want to take that? So we've seen a lot happening today on education, a lot of distance learning. Obviously, the last 1 year, the pandemic has increased distance learning virtually, not only across universities, but across also K-12 across the globe. So you want to take that, how Zoom's incorporation into education?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is one of the most fascinating areas. When I grew up, the way in which we went to, let's say, university or school, if for any reason we were late or we got ill or we, missed the bus or something, we missed lessons. And the only way of catching up was finding a benevolent colleague to allow you to copy their notes or maybe to tell you what happened. This was obviously inconvenient, but it is very disadvantageous for those who maybe live far away, who maybe have any difficulties in reaching school. And essentially what happened over the past couple of year and a half is very much the extension of the learning we hope. Now, quite obviously, as the students got older, the experience changes. So when you're talking about secondary school students, or even more so university students, you mentioned your daughter, Parag, their ability to utilize remote, synchronous education resources, synchronous meaning live video, in order to progress their, their learning experience is really been a big thing. You can watch classes recorded, which you may have attended and you may just want to rerun through. The degree of interactivity, be they questions, be they spotlighting, all of that, I think has been, really, really eye-opening. We've worked, for example, in one country, in Egypt, we've worked on remote learning for secondary school children, not as something being used to tackle issues surrounding the pandemic, but rather extending and expanding classroom capacity. At the end of the day, if your classroom fits 30 people, only 30 people can learn with that teacher, and that teacher may be a brilliant teacher. Again, with Zoom, you can extend that. We've got tools, we've got APIs which can integrate with learning management systems. Obviously, Rizat mentioned also Zoom apps as well, which is a growing area.
So I think one of the biggest things I saw in Zoom and education from a personal experience was the 9 versus 49. Okay, that's probably the biggest motto I saw from everyone. Okay, so the experience was, do we have 49 windows or do you want 9 windows? And obviously the teacher said, I need to see all the 40 students or 45 students in the class. I don't know how I'd be able to teach virtually, where some of them would be playing on video, so someone would be actually turning off the camera and doing something else. I would like to see him or her completely in the whole school environment. And I think the scoring which I saw was that 949, where 49 windows coming across from Zoom, where the teacher could actually see all. A typical class was not more than 40 and an average of max 45. So he or she was covering all the class, all the students. And typically what I saw with a lot of universities or even schools were having a larger display for the teacher, which was about 20-25 inch, which a nice speakerphone with a Logitech camera, like the one which I'm today I'm using a 4K nice Logitech camera, so which gives a good quality video, and a speakerphone. And then what you do is deliver high quality impart education using definitely change the arena, bringing really a high quality with all presence of all students with the teacher this thing. So that was, I believe, one of the biggest thing which happened definitely from a Zoom perspective. So that definitely adds on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let me tell you something. Obviously, Zoom is an American company headquartered in California, so based in California. And as a US company, obviously, it has a keen awareness in terms of the market there. And Chromebooks, for example, are widely used, particularly in the US education space. And so, and this is just an example of how, Zoom is always on the move with developments. We developed, and Rizik's going to have to help me with this, we developed a specific enhancement, I'll call it, to Zoom for Chromebooks, which gives you, back to what Parag said, an enhanced experience, which again can give, we talked about 49 participants. Again, it means when you're using a Chromebook, you can get an enhanced experience beyond the browser version of Chrome. Of Zoom.
And yeah, just to add, this is one of the things that most educational institutions are looking for today: be able to communicate not only from an application but also from a browser. So with the addition of that feature in the Chromebook, now students will be able to basically join a Zoom meeting from a browser without download that application.
Yeah, I mean, that's called, so I found the name, a progressive web app. So it's a PWA. So these are progressive web apps in Chromebooks. Again, it just makes that experience better.
So one quick note since we're there, I just wanted to even share this. I know I'm showing some things, but what I actually wanted to share with you, all of you, is do you see that PowerPoint right now?
Not yet.
Started sharing. No, doesn't appear yet.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I'll get that. So, so the next question for you, Sam, is, okay, I think one big concern which everyone has been talking about or was concerned about was Zoom and security, and you addressed it part of it. I think what the audience were looking at it is in terms of, how secure is Zoom? Yes, today, I think there was an area where we have addressed it. Today still people are skeptical about being on the cloud, how safe it is to do Zoom call. Can we actually be secure? Can make sure that, no one can interrupt or anyone can hack into this call? How secure is a Zoom call?
So very secure. I'm going to touch on it, then I'll pass over to Rizit to give more detail for those in the audience who are more technical. So, we have end-to-end encryption available, which means that not only do you have a very high level of encryption, you also have the keys yourself. So it's the participants in the calls. And the second thing is with regard to the recordings, we have, again, more security features. With regard to the participants in meetings, we have a waiting room feature in place. So as well as having passcodes, long meeting codes, long passcodes, we have a waiting room feature so that you can filter. Let's say you're a teacher and you get some unwanted or opportunities. Using the waiting room, you can keep them out. You can do additional things like restricting meetings to only be members of your own domain. So people in your own company, for example. And those are just some of the features. Maybe Rizit can elaborate a little.
Absolutely. So the whole thing about security, this goes back to last year, and it was so long time ago when this, Zoom bombing happened. And that was a perception, by the way, because basically it was more like a public relation and the soft skills that we enabled by default on the client. But that was solved a long time ago. I just wanted to clarify this. But at March last year, we enforced AES 256 GCM on all Zoom meetings by default. Not only that, we committed to end-to-end encryption, as Sam had done it really quick. So with end-to-end encryption, it was the largest rollout of end-to-end encryption for enterprise. And that allows you to have up to 300 participants in end-to-end encryption. So what does end-to-end encryption mean? It means that no one, not even Zoom, has access to those encrypted keys. One. Second, we are committing to the second phase, to the third phase of end-to-end encryption, which is basically bring your own keys. So bottom line is that, all Zoom meetings are encrypted by default. You cannot disable encryption. However, end-to-end encryption is an option. If you want, you can enable it for your meetings. Our solution is enabled with the best security standards in the market. Okay, and we take security very seriously. Over the last year, we enabled more than 150 security features. So at the end of the day, no application is immune to vulnerabilities, right? It's all about how you apply those security best practices in your environment. As Sam mentioned, you can start with a passcode, you can enable waiting room, you can then enable single sign-on, you can enable dual factor authentication. So in other words, it's all about how you follow those security best practices. You can make your Zoom meeting really simple with a passcode, and you can make it really complex by just enabling external SSO with domain authentication and so on. And we keep enhancing more and more moving forward from that perspective.
Right. So thanks, Chris. I think we had a question from the legal side. So someone from the legal side had quite a good thing. So I hope that answered the questions regarding especially encryption. And obviously in legal, that's one of the key things which people would like to make sure that they're completely secure. So as we are there, just one thought, just one slide I just want to share is that UAE is one of the leading countries in the region to actually have people work from home. Okay, so this survey is being done from Boston Consulting Group. So I thought I'll just share this one part with you. Just to keep you in that. And what this has allowed, and what I was surprised, and me and Sam were having a chat earlier on. But countries like the UAE, if you know that, have actually come across with commercial visas, working visas for people to work remotely in the UAE. So you can actually today, this goes to a lot of startups who could probably be trying to work for different companies globally, for different organizations with their proper setup here in Dubai. So you could actually officially work in Dubai with a proper visa, remote visa to work in this country. And this is perfectly legal. And obviously you could be part of that community with Zoom and this could be absolutely the way to move forward. But this is exactly what we're seeing, a complete change in terms of work culture across the globe. Sam, you want to comment anything on that?
Yeah. I was going to specifically say, if anybody does have more specific questions or wants to have a one-to-one chat, please feel free after this session to reach out to myself, Riza, Parag. We'll make all our emails available, our contact details available.
Yeah. So as we are the same, so Sam, now just on from your parts, okay. We saw one of the big acquisitions from Zoom, a big acquisition in today's industry, a $15 billion acquisition, especially from a Zoom perspective, from a voice company. What do you have to say to that? Because that's in today's world, a $15 billion acquisition is a big one. So how does Zoom perceive in this new acquisition?
So one of the things that I'll just, if you don't mind, like to address something which you touched on a little bit earlier regarding Zoom Rooms. So I think we've mentioned the word a couple of times, and I think obviously we have an audience of SMBs and so on. And I think one of the things that I do want to talk about is specifically that. So as many of you may be aware, or some of you might be aware, certainly, Zoom works on your phone, Zoom works on your laptop, but potentially, depending on the businesses that you're in, many might require sort of a more enhanced level, particularly as they go back to work and have employees in different cities, having a more enhanced level of interaction. And FVC are one of the leaders in the region, obviously famously with Poly, but also with others. And Zoom is a single application which runs across all these different platforms. And it can make a difference depending on what business you're in. If you're in a business where visual quality, where rooms-based systems and so on are important, I think, Zoom Rooms can give you that. Another thing is digital signage. So one of the things which people don't know us that much for, comparatively speaking, which is worth calling out, is as well as the fact that Zoom Room hardware and software can do things, which I'm going to pass to Riza again, I'm getting out of my depth, in terms of whether it be monitoring and looking at various aspects of those in the room, counting attendees, stuff like that can be done by some of the hardware, I believe. I think also, in addition, the matter of digital signage is something which is worth mentioning. Again, you know, digital signage you find everywhere, from restaurants to takeaways to airports and so on. What about digital signage? I mean, what can we say more about that?
Okay. Yeah, I think there are a lot of applications that we can say, especially both from today what we're seeing, and not only from a digital signage perspective, working across boundaries, working geographically, working and this thing, whether it's coming from a mobile or whether it's coming from our tab or laptop. I think where we've seen is virtual meetings and virtual collaboration is the way forward. And I think whether this is happening on a work front or even at and something which we all are part of this game. So with that, what I wanted to do was just have some last, before we close out this session, wanted to give the audience any questions before we sum it up at the end.
There's one question, Parag, related to the versions of Zoom. So basically, there are no multiple versions of Zoom. It's a single application based on one core common platform that was built from the ground up to natively integrate well together. So the difference is the licensing. So you go for free, you know, if you go for free, that doesn't mean you don't get encryption. No, you get encryption. So encryption is enabled on the free version as well. The difference is between the license. You know, you have the basic, you have the pro, you have the business, and the enterprise. Of course, if you are looking for a more advanced licensing plan, if you are looking for single sign-on, if you are looking for advanced analytics, if you're looking for a customer success manager, that's where basically you need to look at business and enterprise. If you are looking to adopt Zoom in your environment, you have 50, you are collaborating securely, then you can go for pro. But highly recommended for the business and the enterprise if your plan is to implement security, advanced security features such as SSO and such as dual factor authentication. So that's the difference. It's available on our website. So if you go to zoom.us/plan, you can see all the difference in the licensing.
Thanks, Risk. I think it's good you explained. A lot of times I end up explaining to them, okay, they ask me this question every time. And it says, okay, we distribute Zoom in the region. And the first question I get, it's free, so what are you doing? And I end up half the time explaining, yeah, you have the free version and you have the business version. And the business version, it does exactly what you have to say in terms of value proposition. That's where all the way, different value in terms of how it is. Yeah.
I'd like to call out, obviously, I saw one of the commenters below asking if we can share the recording. So that's an example of a feature you get on the Pro and the business versions, which is cloud recording.
Another one is how about Zoom in China? Well, Zoom is a US company, and all the data centers were, the first data centers were based in US, not in China. Well, China is a territory to us, and when it comes to, we have data centers over there, and we have the option to customers to leverage those data centers for data in transit, where basically, when I say data in transit, it's where the media flows between the participants.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I think so. As Rizat said, we are a US company. We are based in the US. We do offer an option, again, within the admin console, which is where you manage your Zoom, to select or deselect certain data centers, whether you want to use them or not. So if for whatever reasons you don't want to use a data center in country XYZ, you can take a look, go into your admin console, you'll see the ability to tick and untick as a function of the product.
There's some more questions here about Zoom
Sure.
fatigue.
I saw a question about charities and non-profits. Please reach out to us. We certainly do have specific programs for the educational sector. And I do ask non-profits and charities to reach out to us, and we'd certainly like to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think we had a great coverage where Zoom was part of the Handicap Association of the UAE, where they actually allowed so many of the Down syndrome kids to be part of the Zoom call, and I think that was covered very well in governments last month. So I think, yeah, Zoom has been doing a lot in terms of charity and a lot of social work. Just to add on to what Sam was just saying.
So, do we see any more questions? Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen?
So I'll just read out some of the questions. Risk, I'm not sure if this was covered in your cloud answer before. Some of the large enterprises are concerned on data calls to be routed within the organization and not over the public cloud. Does Zoom hear these concerns, and how do you address the same?
I'll start on an answer for that, and I'll pass it to Riz in more detail. So we do have a solution, or part of our solution, which is called on-prem. It's a hybrid solution, which basically means, and I'll give you the one-sentence summary and hand over to Riz, which basically means that your on-net calls between individuals in your organization, in your building or in your office, are routed on your network. And Rizet can give you some more color on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two versions. There is the cloud version, which is basically all the voice and the video traffic goes to the cloud. And we have our on-premise version, which allows you to localize that media traffic internally. So that voice, video, and content sharing traffic, if you want to keep it confidential, you can keep it on net, okay? That solution, we call it hybrid or on-premise solution, and it's available for business and enterprise customers. But that doesn't mean, from security perspective, both are secure. We enforce encryption on both, whether it is a cloud or on-premise. And also with the on-premise version, it gives you the capability to keep the recording locally as well. So you don't have to record in the cloud. So you keep all those confidential files in your network, in your data center.
It's worth mentioning what we call our on-prem version is the most comprehensive, we believe. It's very, very comprehensive compared to our peers. And in addition, does not cost extra in terms of licensing. As I said, we only have, Zoom is very uniform in terms of licensing and so on. So we do not charge you extra. So yes, there is certainly hardware capacity needed in order to obviously implement an on-prem version. You need VMs, but you don't pay extra in terms of Zoom licensing. And a lot of people are using it and interested in this part of the world. That's something you definitely do need to contact us for. It needs a one-to-one discussion.
Well, just to cross question on that, does it actually work with across regions, as long as your physical regions?
So, I'll repeat the question, let Riz ask it. So I think what you're asking is, if you've got different offices in different countries, can you run an on-prem instance across them? So that question is for Riz.
Okay.
Yes, you can do. You can have multiple instances running in different locations, and you can also mix it with the cloud. That's the added value of our on-premise version. So basically, you can mix users. So you can assign users to use the cloud, and you can assign certain users to use only the on-premise version. But yes, definitely lots of flexibility over there.
Okay, this is one question which I'm not sure if you guys face it yourselves about Zoom fatigue. since the session is about remote working, what is your perspective of how people get around this?
So I'll tell you my personal tips. First of all, I strongly recommend, and I'm not just plugging FVC here, get good hardware. So great, you know, if you are able to get a good camera, sit in good lighting, comfortable chair, all important. And I'm speaking from a personal perspective. I also make sure I do walk around. So I'm not the most sporty person you'd ever meet, but you know, stretching, walking, important, I think. And also, I personally mix it up between working on my laptop, working on a Zoom room where I'm looking at the screen, which is much further away from me. And often I walk around, you know, visit my colleague. I have to walk around when I'm on calls. I don't stay seated. I'm not going to walk around now. So that I think there's different ways to combat it, but just like anything else, you know, like driving a long distance or many other things, I think different people have different formulas with which they can manage things like that. No doubt about it too. I love to pop out and get out to have a coffee, have a bite. Myself and Parag, we go out for lunch or dinner every few weeks, and the face-to-face experience is great as well.
Yeah, so I think just to add to where Sam was saying, I think not getting into this thing, but yeah, I think the Zoom fatigue is definitely there, or the desktop fatigue in terms of the number of conferences you're having on a daily basis. And the most challenging one would be is that you have sometimes you even end up scheduling one after the other. So at least I've learned one thing is it's very important to keep a 15 minutes or even a 30-minute break. It's better to keep the Zoom call for 45 minutes. So you keep the 15 minutes because you a lot of times overrun from one meeting into the others, and you also get a gap point. And second is, yes, definitely having a good hardware. Sometimes, I don't know, I end up doing calls where I shut off the camera, just put the headset, put a Plantronics headset, and I'm just walking around and actually doing the call. So not only you're actually physically, you know, moving around, but you get your mind a little bit, where your physical activity just a bit more relaxed, get your mind more relaxed in terms of doing. And last but not the least is the Zoom rooms. So like Sam said, the screen is far away, so you could actually talk. It's almost like you're talking into television. You've got a nice microphone, and you speak to a microphone and a nice camera, and you could actually, you know, just talk as if you're talking into a hands-free screen, and then collaborate and talk to the other person on the other side. So all these three things not only would actually give you a balance between a desktop and a conference room, but also give you a workaround time where you actually walk around a little bit in terms of how you can have that call. Yeah, so that I believe is definitely happening. The other day I was speaking, some of the biggest people were a lot of physiotherapists are doing a lot today, much more than what they were doing pre-pandemic, only because of people's fatigueness and actually being not running around and not being physically active. So yeah, so that's something which for all of us to think and actually try and invest in some parts of the game, which will actually not only enhance your experience, but also make sure that you're a bit more mobile and much more easy.
Maybe we can close with this last comment from PK for you, Sam. A non-Zoom question. Zoom is known for great backgrounds. Is the great calming scenery behind you a background, or are you in great settings?
No, it's not a background, which is a little refreshing from time to time. As Parag said, I'm quite fortunate at the moment to be in the UK, where the weather is a little bit quite mild at the moment. So that's a garden behind me, actually. And I'll knock on the glass so you can tell. It's not, but we do have great backgrounds, and I usually use one, frankly. But today I thought I'll introduce some greenery to the call. I must say, though, I got to say, we've got some iconic backdrops in Dubai. So one of the good things about Dubai is I don't, the room I kind of work in my home in Dubai doesn't have any windows. So I have to use a virtual background. But the good thing about Dubai is we've got lots of iconic backgrounds to use of many landmarks which people recognize the world over.
Risk, do you want to quickly share your emails, because there are a couple of them remaining and they can connect to you? We're on time. Let's close it. Parag, do you want to say a last few?
Yes, I will do. Yeah.
Any last words, Parag, before closing?
Yeah, so what I wanted to do was, as we're speaking, I thought I'll share this one last video for all of us. Okay.
There's no sound. And do you want to go full screen? There's no sound, yeah?
You need to enable sound when sharing content, Parag.
Sorry, the sound is coming through? No.
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 I would encourage everybody to follow Zoom on LinkedIn, on Instagram as well. And I think we have TikTok. Do we have TikTok? We've got some top tips often on those social media channels, certainly on Instagram, certainly on LinkedIn as well. And there's a lot of fun features we have, such as filters and some fun things as well, which can, lighten your meetings a little bit.
Thank you. I think we'll close. We always close on time. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Riz. Thank you, Parag.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks, Risk. Thank you to all the audience, and really appreciate it. And yeah, it will be more than happy. I think Risk is there. We are also very happy if I'll just put my email ID also. If anyone would like to, connect with us, we're more than happy to be helping you out.
Or if you want to connect through Thai Dubai, thaidubai.org, we can direct you to any of them.
Absolutely. And if you want to share my email, I'm on the address, and also that'll be Man's. We'll be happy to communicate with you.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you. You seem to be enjoying UK, London, 23 degrees. We are 46 degrees boiling. Okay, so one of the questions, like PK said, okay, he was really thinking, was it a virtual background? It's a real background. So it's in flesh and blood. So great to see you. Have a great holiday, great experience in the UK. And Riz, thanks for being part of it. And thanks, Sissy, and thanks, Fiza, for the event. And yeah, I think on behalf of Thai, and also on behalf of all of us, we thanks all the attendees for being part of this Thai masterclass, and we continue to keep our sessions going live with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.